Hey, Foot Clan. Today's show is brought to you by FantasyChamps.com. Now, FantasyChamps.com is the number one place, you already know this, for trophies, rings, championship belts, custom jerseys, draft boards. But now they have bundles. 3 different bundles. You can save more when you bundle product together. You want to know what I'm talking about? The Sleeper Bundle. You get to pick one of the league championship trophies. You get to pick one of the rings. You get to pick one of the draft boards. And you get a loser trophy mixed in there. Check them all out, the league bundle, the league jersey bundle, and the keeper bundle at FantasyChamps.com. Use the promo code BALLERS to save a little extra.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from Draft.com Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Oh, you ruined it.
Yeah!
You just
I was emphasizing with you, man. Yeah, it's
I know your capabilities vocally, Mike, and that was not your best.
Let's try it over. I was doubling.
No.
It is a technique you use in the recording studio. You got to double the vocals, makes them thicker, makes them beefier, makes them better.
That was not doubling. That was ruining.
All right, go ahead.
Welcome into the show, the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, back once more, Tuesday, June 5th. It is officially 6,000 degrees here in Arizona, and we are excited to be indoors talking to you.
We have developed a really neat underground tunnel system from the house to the studio. It's the only way we can stay alive and not be burnt to a crisp.
Now, see, they do that type of thing in where Brooks is from, up in the Michigan land. When it's snowing, all these campuses, they have tunnels and stuff so that you don't have to go out in the snow.
That's not true.
Yes,
Brooks,
it is.
I know there's
not tunnels, but
in Minnesota there are skywalks. So in downtown, a lot of the buildings up high have walkways.
And
so
the collegiate campuses you can get around mostly without going outside.
Is this true, Brooks?
Brooks, can you
Tunnels?
confirm this?
No.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
He didn't go to college. He doesn't know what I'm talking about.
That's true.
Yeah.
You had me going, man. It's like, what?
It's where the mole people live. Well, welcome in. This episode's going to be fun. We have a ADP Price Check episode. So we're going to be walking through some names. These guys don't have the most recent average draft position data memorized, do you?
No,
Okay.
Maybe I do.
So I'm going to quiz
Maybe
them.
I don't.
I'm going to have you guess where you believe that these players are going. We'll talk about where they are going in current mock drafts, and we'll talk about some of the players going around them and whether you think they're a value, whether you think that they're going too early, that type of thing. But first, I want to get into a quick question on today's episode, and this is comes straight out of the Ultimate Draft Kit, which released last week. The reception perception content, okay? So Matt Harmon from NFL.com, he creates the reception perception results for the Ultimate Draft Kit, and he looks at wide receivers independent of their quarterback. How do they perform in all of the major routes on the route tree compared to the average? And are they outperforming it? Are they underperforming it? And so I just wanted to ask you guys, what was the biggest surprise that you saw, or one of the biggest surprises from the data that you saw about reception perception? So the results they're in, what surprised you?
Yeah, for me, one of the guys that stood out as surprising, and I know it's equal for Matt Harmon. He even said this was surprising because of what we've seen the last 2 years prior. But Randall Cobb's reception perception last year, and it's really the perfect example of using reception perception because it's quarterback agnostic. So you can't just go, oh, he had a bad year last year. Well, Aaron Rodgers was gone. That kind of matters a little bit. But regardless of what the quarterback did, whether the quarterback found him when he was open, whether the quarterback hit him when he was open, it doesn't matter. It's just when he's running routes, when he's against man, when he's against press, when he's against zone, when he's running slants or digs or curls, how'd he do? And it was cool to see that Cobb, which I think this last year we were a little hopeful for entering in the year, that he was finally healthy again. He looked good with Aaron Rodgers to start the year, but then when Rodgers was gone, Cobb became an afterthought in fantasy. Looking through reception perception, he was kind of back in that form he had when he was an elite fantasy player. And
no more Jordy Nelson.
No
now.
more. And that's the thing I wanted to bring up is the combination of what reception perception showed Randall Cobb to be last year with the fact that Jordy's gone. I went back and I looked since 2011 at, okay, so when Aaron Rodgers does play, where's his wide receiver 2 finish? He finishes these are going back when he plays. The wide receiver 2 finished 8th, 27th, 7th, 17th, and 17th.
You're talking about Aaron Rodgers, wide receiver 2.
Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay's wide receiver 2 when Rodgers is playing. So that's an average of being the 15th wide receiver. And that's including the year where it was, his wide receiver was 27th. Well, that year was the year he lost Jordy. So that, his wide receiver 1 was 25th. It kind of was a strange year. So I think Randall Cobb right now, he's like the 45th wide receiver off the board. And
represents a lot of upside.
There's no way that the wide receiver 2 from Green Bay, if Aaron Rodgers plays,
there's no
way he finishes that low.
And I know what Devontae Adams did last year, but Adams hasn't been a one with Rodgers before either. Like you gave those numbers, but what you're really saying is the person opposite Jordy Nelson always did this, and now Jordy's gone. I don't even think we know how much he will look at Adams the same exact way. Obviously, he's not going to be the same as Jordy Nelson, and he should be the one far and away, but we haven't seen him have to be that. I think it's a very interesting situation because we know Rodgers will put up numbers.
Yeah, and just a shout-out to Geronimo Allison as well.
I wanted to say, maybe it's not Randall Cobb. It could end up being Geronimo Allison or one of these slew of draft picks.
It's going to be one of them.
It's going to be a mismatch of all of them.
I think either Randall Cobb or Geronimo Allison, one of those two players is going to break out or break back in this year. So I see both of them.
Break up, break down.
Oh, I hope they don't break up. That's so hard when you go through a breakup,
Yeah, I don't want to have to break up.
Yeah, Mike, who you got?
I'm going with someone who was very disappointing in reception perception. Andy raises his glass.
Yes, actually, I do.
It's the ugliest chart
and
I've ever seen.
Is the number 1 maybe for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm sorry to tell you this, Jacksonville Jaguars fans, but Marquise Lee is the only receiver that Harmon has done this season that is all red, which means that he scored subpar in
red means stop
in every single category that he looks at. He is below the 11th percentile in success versus man, zone, and press coverage.
Nice.
He is not creating separation. He is below average in the contested catch rate. He had a drop rate of, when Harmon was starting him, of 10.8%. That's bad.
At least he was up near the top in something.
Everything about this is questionable.
Yeah, and if you don't have the UDK, if you haven't seen reception perception, you might even have seen the graphics. He's tracking the screen, the slant, the curl, the dig, the post, the 9, the corner, the out, the comeback, the flat, and others.
And he was below average in all of them.
Across the board. Not one did he. Not one was he yellow. Was he average?
So it will be interesting to see, can Marquise Lee truly hold up as a number 1? Does this give
Dede?
Maybe Dede can step forward, or Moncrief, the $11 million man? There could be some goodness here in the Jacksonville passing game, and it might not be Marquise Lee, despite him being that kind of de facto number 1.
All right, one of the things I like is looking to see whether a player is done, right? We joke about it on the show all the time. A player, they hit the wall, it's over for them. Last year, you might use Jeremy Maclin as an example, right? He comes in and he's supposed to be on a 1-year prove-it deal with Baltimore.
He proved it.
He proved it, and he's currently without a job.
Yeah, he proved it.
So I wanted to look at Michael Crabtree and see if what we saw statistically was reflected in his play and his performance. And is he done? Is he about to repeat the Maclin in Baltimore situation? And despite the disappointing fantasy numbers last year, the reception perception numbers were very, very good for Michael Crabtree. As opposed to Marquise Lee, he had no route in which he was below average. In fact, he was above average in most of them. He scored in the 84th percentile and the 97th percentile in success versus man and zone coverage. The big difference in the statistical drop-off last year for Crabtree came down to those 50-50 balls, right? He was this reliable red zone. Carr puts the ball up, never to Cooper, always to Crabtree, and he comes down with it. And last year he was not at the same success level. I think he was at 80-something% on those the year before. He was at 65% last year, and that made a big impact in the numbers. Obviously, they moved on from him, but it's interesting to see that he was outperforming the majority of the competition as that inside receiver, as that dominant slant, curl, dig route guy. And what does that mean in Baltimore? I'm not sure it means fantasy glory. I mean, I have him at 31 right now.
But there's definitely upside there for Crabtree because his game is not out-athlete you. Michael Crabtree is...
It's technique, it's precision.
Exactly. It's creating separation in these routes. So, and Flacco has already been talking about getting used to Michael Crabtree, which Carr went through this as well in Oakland, he says, this guy runs weird routes, man, but so it works for Michael Crabtree, gets him open. I'm very interested in what Crabtree can do as the number one for a kind of anemic passing attack, but I have him ranked lower like you do, Andy, but I think that of players, when you talk about variance, Michael Crabtree still has a very nice ceiling to me, even though I'm not projecting it.
And I think he's really attractive to me in full PPR formats because I don't see any reason why he can't lead the team in targets in that offense. The last two players that really had fantasy relevance at the wide receiver position for them, however, were both field stretcher type of guys when Steve Smith kind of reemerged and Torrey Smith. But Bolden had some success there. Yes. And I would use him as the template for what you get with Crabtree. Bolden later in his career, possession guy. Every week you couldn't count on him in fantasy, but he did have those weeks when he scored and he was valuable. So it was nice to see that Crabtree, at least on film, not yet done. Not
fantastic.
Yet done. All right.
For my dynasty team.
Yeah, you've been hoping and praying.
It's something.
It's something.
Squeeze that reg. Get every drop out.
YouTube. You can find us on YouTube. Subscribe over there. Click that little Mike's waving to the camera. Click the little alert button so you know when a new episode is out. We've got our PPR mock draft from our half point per reception mock draft from last week up on there. That's a lot of fun. On Twitter, you can find us at the FF Ballers. Find Jason at JasonFFL. Mike is at FF Hitman. I'm at Andy Holloway. And the website is thefantasyfootballers.com. I believe, Brooks, am I right? We still have a little bit of time left on this giveaway.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you can
just over a week. Yep.
Okay, you can win a signed Le'Veon Bell jersey or a signed Alvin Kamara football. These are nice.
That's big time.
These are nice.
Big time.
FootClanGiveaway.com. Free to enter. FootClanGiveaway.com. I think without further ado, we're going to move on to our main event, gentlemen. Let's do it.
You better check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Talking to you, Mike.
Chickity check, man.
You gotta
daily.
You gotta check yourself.
I check it on the regs.
Okay.
The regs.
All right. Mike,
That's right.
Mike is so cool. It's beyond me. He's just so cool.
Oh yeah.
All right. By the way, the average draft position list that I'm using today is from fantasyfootballcalculator.com. Always interesting as we evolve through the off season. We're in June now, and more mock drafts are taking place. You now have the rookies that are establishing themselves more and more in these mock drafts and where people are comfortable taking them. We took a bunch of rookies in our mock draft on the show last week, but I'm curious about. I've got 8 guys, and I want to see if you guys can first of all guess about where they're going, and then talk about their value. So let's start with a wide receiver. His team has had a lot of change this offseason, and we're talking about Tyreek the Freak. Tyreek Hill. Where do you think Tyreek Hill is going? You have the addition of Sammy Watkins.
Too high.
The quarterback change.
Really?
Oh,
That's your opinion on Tyreek Hill?
My opinion on Tyreek Hill
That
is
is
going too high. I've
wow.
seen him go usually in the third, as high as the second. I'm gonna guess back of the second, like 212.
Okay.
And if he's
You're
going
guessing
near
212?
there, it's too high for my blood.
And now, is that simply based off of risk aversion with Pat Mahomes?
It's a triple threat of Pat Mahomes coming in, so we don't know, how he's going to be used. The offensive coordinator did change. Granted, Andy Reid is the offensive mastermind, but and then the third one, which is actually the biggest one, Sammy Watkins is there. There has not been another wide receiver worthy of targeting for Kansas City. But
Mike, what do you think? Where do you think he's going?
And I just want to know now, this is PPR ADP I grabbed. Just to
Okay.
That is important.
Standard.
Yep.
Okay.
stand by it.
Where did you say?
So Jason's
I said,
official answer for this game of where exactly are they being drafted is too high.
That is my answer
So-
for Tyreek Hill, but specifically,
Which means
I guess
you
the
win
212.
no matter what.
That's right. That's how I play
you
games,
guessed
Mike.
212, Mike.
Is this Price is Right action?
Oh, you don't want to
No.
All right, okay. I'm going to go. I don't think he's going as high as the second round, especially in a PPR. He's still valuable. He finished as the wide receiver 7 last year in half point. I'm going to go right around the 304. 304.
So, Mike, you are the closest there. It's
I thought I hit it. I was like,
I know,
are you
that's what I
serious?
thought, too.
305. 305.
Ew.
So,
I was
Tyreek
right.
is going
I was right. Too high.
in the third round, and let me give you some names. He's going behind wide receivers A.J. Green and Mike Evans, significantly behind them. Those are both kind of tail end of the second round right now. Hill is in the middle of the third, and then after Tyreek Hill and Jason.
This is what matters.
Jason, would you take these receivers ahead of Tyreek Hill? I know the answer to the first one. Adam Thielen.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I would take Thielen over
T.Y. Hilton.
If Andrew Luck is healthy, then yes. Otherwise, no. That's kind of doesn't count
That's
yet.
so close. I'm not gonna doubt Tyreek Hill and his ability. I get that Sammy Watkins is there, especially he rode in on his golden chariot, carried by 4 very strong men who's making so much freaking money there. But he's just so successful at what he does.
Yes,
which
I agree.
Is being very fast, and he's not just fast. I think he's a good route runner and he's good hands too.
I like Tyreek Hill as a player. I really do. This isn't anti-Tyreek Hill. This is anti-banking on the situation he's been in the last 2 years. The situation has changed, and so I think
that your deep burning passion and desire for Sammy Watkins to actually be good is clouding what Tyreek Hill has done his first 2 years in the league.
You don't need to disparage Tyreek Hill to prop up Sammy Watkins' potential.
Thank you, and thank you.
But you are. You're choosing to. And Hill went from 9.7 a catch in kind of a gadgety role back in 2016 up to 15.8 per catch last year. He had only 14 more receptions and yet put up 500 more yards.
Yeah, there could be some
So
regression
1183 on the yardage on 75 receptions for Tyreek Hill. So the nice thing about the counter Jason story to the narrative there is that you're not taking a player that's in the 90 to 100 to 110 catch range.
Sure.
A la the target count for Mike Evans, his lone season with no one around him in Tampa, where we saw that number change a lot from a target standpoint. I tend to think that I would take Adam Thielen ahead of him, but I'm not sure anybody else in this group. Doug Baldwin, Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I would take Doug Baldwin and not Amari Cooper.
Okay.
Baldwin I would because of all the targets that have vacated Seattle's offense. And
they're all going to Brandon Marshall now, Mike.
yeah. Are you comparing?
That just means they're going to Baldwin on 4th down.
Adam Thielen sitting there at a nice 27% target share, which is that's very, very nice to compare to Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's 19.4.
Here's what I think. I think that taking Tyreek Hill at 306 or 305 right now represents a pretty significant tier break between the guys going before him, Adams, Allen, Green, Evans. Then right now you're seeing a break with some running backs and a couple quarterbacks go, and then you have a brand new tier of wideouts that are going Hill, Thielen, Hilton, Baldwin, Cooper. It seems foolish to probably be at the front end of that wide receiver group and grab Hill because even if you like him, I don't think the justification of liking him more than those other guys would push you to the top of that list when you could settle in on somebody else.
It's a fair point. The man was given a pretty tall task this past year,
Be the number one.
It was Tyreek Hill. We've seen you have success as the gadget player, getting the sweeps and just the 9 route. Now you're the number one. Jeremy Maclin, you're gone. And he stepped up to the challenge, and so I just am not doubting what Tyreek Hill can do.
And the thing is, if for those of the listeners that have listened for more than a year, they recognize last year I was all about Tyreek Hill. We as a group, we bought into his talent and the volume would be there. So this is not me saying I don't believe in Tyreek Hill. I just don't. I don't want to bank on that volume.
Sammy, you feel like it will take that much away?
I do. I think Sammy Watkins. I think that there is a world where Sammy Watkins actually finishes as the number one wide receiver in Kansas City. That's not. Oh yeah, Tyreek.
Bringing it back.
And that's not me saying that Sammy will do that. I'm not projecting that in my rankings. I've got Tyreek Hill finishing as the wide receiver 1. But if at the end of 2018, Sammy Watkins was the number 1 target, that wouldn't. I wouldn't be like, you couldn't have seen this.
I've got a crazy question. Then we'll move on to another player. These two players are going 2 picks apart right now. Who would you rather flex, Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce? Then.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Because I feel like all of your Watkins arguments would apply to.
I think I would rather have Travis Kelce. I think his role is more secure.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
I would take Tyreek Hill.
This is a week-to-week flex question?
Yeah. Because just because I want to.
Yeah. Then if it's a week-to-week flex question, then yes, it's going to be Tyreek Hill because in my flex, just the way I've lined up and built my team, that's where I put my nitro.
Well,
yeah, he is your nitro.
So I hit the turbo button because the rest of my team is solid. Before we move on to the rest of the ADP Price Check, want to thank today's sponsor, Omaha Steaks. You trying to find the perfect gift for Father's Day? Look no further than Omaha Steaks. Ladies and gentlemen, I have recently received a giant box of meat from Omaha Steaks, and it is incredible. I have been grilling like a villain. I've been getting out there facing the heat. Don't care because it's too delicious. And right now, Omaha Steaks is offering our listeners a limited Father's Day package for only $49.99. That's 78% off. It's an amazing deal. You go to omahasteaks.com, you search footballers, and you can get this Father's Day package, which includes, let me take a breath, 2 filet mignons, 2 sirloins, 4 chicken fried steaks, 2 boneless pork chops, 4 all-beef Omaha steak burgers, 4 jumbo frank, 12 ounces of all-beef meatballs, 1 pound of steakhouse fries, 4 caramel apple tartlets, 1 Omaha steak seasoning packet, plus get 4 more Omaha steak burgers free with purchase. Again, this limited time package for only $49.99 when you go to omahasteaks.com and you type footballers in the search bar. Get that Father's Day present right now.
Yeah, and hey, speaking of Father's Day, another great option to really do the shock and awe treatment for the father is found at pristineauction.com. That's where you can find signed sports memorabilia of your father's current favorite player or even their favorite classics from yesteryear. I look at some of this stuff
from their dads
from dad's era.
Yeah.
I'm a dad. Hey, kids, listen up.
Jim Plunkett.
DeAndre Hopkins signed Texans jersey, went yesterday on there for $77. That's a signed Hopkins jersey for $77. That's a wow thing. A Le'Veon Bell for $85. They've got Jerry Rice signed stuff. They have basically, look, you got to go on there. Hundreds of auctions every day. They're different. So you check it out. You got time before Father's Day. You're not going to be disappointed, and neither will your father. And if you're a father, get yourself a nice gift at pristineauction.com. Make a completely free account. Let them know that you heard about them from the Fantasy Footballers.
All right, next, ADP Price Check, gentlemen. PPR, average draft position. Let's talk about a different. It's not Tyreek the Freak. It's Tarik the Freak.
Oh.
Tarik Cohen.
Dinosaur Hunter.
Is that a Turok reference?
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's so bad.
It's great.
Wow.
Tarik.
I'm living it. I love
All
it.
right, it's closer than I gave it credit for.
I remember that game.
Yeah, well, something new might have just been born, gentlemen.
One part first-person shooter, one part dinosaurs. Are you kidding me?
No, it was all about Turok, too, with the monkey tag. Shout out to my people who know what I'm talking about.
Goodness, that turned. All right, let's talk about Tarik the Dinosaur Hunter. Tarik Cohen Where do you think he's going in PPR ADPs? And when you look at standard, I'll tell you this: your standard to PPR difference for Cohen is one of the bigger ones out there. It's a couple rounds.
Wow, it makes sense because you would want him more in a PPR setting.
Oh yeah. About 2 rounds.
Man, Mike, I went first last round. So
Tarik is one of our favorite sleepers of this fantasy football season, but I think that you can still get him a little bit cheap. I'm going to say his ADP price check is at the 907.
Oof. I think it's got to be higher than that, especially after Andy said that there's a big disparity between PPR and standard. I think
it's undrafted.
Yes. No, I think it's standard. He's still being drafted. I'm gonna take him. Man, I was gonna go 7, but I feel like I'm gonna go 8. I'm gonna go 8 and be safe. I'll go 805.
Okay, 805, and
Mike's very energetic responses are all very inaccurate. Tarik Cohen 606.
Yeah, I knew.
What?
I knew because PPR. I thought
he's
he was in the 8.
He's 806 in standard. He's 606 in PPR. And
he's not my favorite sleeper anymore.
Let me read to you players that are going around him, and maybe it'll change your mind.
You don't have to. I want all of them.
Well, do you want Tevin Coleman or do you want Tarik Cohen?
Coleman.
Yeah.
Okay, Coleman's going 2 picks ahead of Cohen. Carlos Hyde or Tarik Cohen?
Hyde.
Ooh, yeah, probably
Hyde's going 4 picks behind Cohen in PPR leagues, which I would take Cohen over Hyde in PPR leagues.
Hyde is going to drop even further. Hyde's going to become a value.
We'll find out. Chris Thompson or Tarik Cohen?
Chris Thompson.
I would take Cohen.
I think I would take Thompson.
Wow. Okay, so this is why you believe he's later. Marlon Mack or Tarik Cohen?
Well, I'm taking
Jason's taking Marlon Mack.
Yeah.
I would take Cohen. How about Marshawn Lynch?
Marshawn.
And I would take Cohen. Marshawn's going around behind Tarik Cohen in PPR leagues.
Yeah, so
the hype is real, Mike. Someone's listening.
Apparently. PSA here. PSA to everyone who has listened already to this episode. No, don't talk up Randall Cobb and Geronimo Allison, okay?
You're talking to yourself. You do a podcast.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
You talk to millions of people.
This is our job. We're talking, but you guys listening, we have enough people
Jason,
listening where it'll raise the ADP a little, but don't tell your friends.
You are telling people not to spread our show around.
Look, I want Foot Clan titles. I want our listeners to be winners. So do what you got to do. But I'm saying keep them as values because early in the offseason, the Dinosaur Hunter looked great. And he's risen out of control.
He's going to hammer this.
His references are from the Cretaceous.
Tarik Cohen.
So look, Tarik Cohen is the worst nickname that's ever been made on this show. And you know it.
I love it.
You know it.
6th round is
I was going to say, Mike, based on your reaction, you wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole at the 6th round.
I am very excited for him, but I designate him as a sleeper for a reason that the potential is there.
Is the gap between him and Corey Clement 4 rounds like it is right now? Because Clement is a PPR 10th round pick.
I see them very close. I see them in the same type of a tier.
You got a guy last year. Look, when you watched the film, Tarik Cohen was really hot.
Almost full spit take.
Tarik Cohen looked great. But this is a guy who didn't get 400 yards on the ground. He didn't get 400 yards through the air. Now, he's got a new offensive coordinator coming who's saying things about how Jordan Howard, is going to be used different in different games. And that means a tool like Tarik Cohen is going to be really valuable to an offensive coordinator.
We got to go to the judge on this one.
Oh,
Judge
please.
He's got to love it.
Judge Giamatti.
Get it out of here.
No! Tarik the Dinosaur Hunter Cohen is staying. I refuse to listen to the judge.
I'll never bring him up again.
Put me in jail.
All right, Will Fuller, guys. Last year, Will Fuller was the best wide receiver in the history of the world for about a week and 2. No, he was a touchdown machine.
I think he was on pace for 700 touchdowns after a couple weeks.
Yeah. So
I have not seen Will Fuller go high in drafts. The ones that I've been
surprised.
I am too. I think he's actually might be a value. So I'm going to guess, since I'm going first here, I'm going to guess rather low. This is PPR. I'm going to guess that he is 9th round.
I'm going double digit for him.
I don't blame you.
I'm going to put him at the 10:06.
you're both very wrong.
What is he rising?
He is the pick directly behind Tarik Cohen right now.
Get out of here!
What is happening?
Holy moly!
Will Fuller is in. Now, if I read the names around, maybe you'll
All right.
change your mind.
That is shocking.
Corey
to me.
Davis, Devin Funchess, Pierre Garçon.
Of those guys, I would take Garcon.
I would take all of those guys above Will Fuller.
Yeah, the thing is it really comes down to roster construction at that point because Fuller represents an electric flex option.
Let me read
a guy
these
that I don't
finishes
want to rely on because of his volume that won't be there. But man, he's a guy that could put up 2 touchdowns any game.
6-12 in standard. So he
His-
goes down to almost a 7th round in standard. He's in the Chris Hogan.
He goes down in a standard?
He does. He's at the Chris Hogan. I'm guessing that wide receivers in general get pulled up
Yeah,
in
no,
a
I
PPR
get it.
format. So
But so Will Fuller, his first 4 games of the season, which were his 4 games with Deshaun Watson, wide receiver 7, wide receiver 6, wide receiver 17, wide receiver 3.
that would be why.
Everyone is bought into Deshaun Watson. Well, that's an egregious statement. There are many, many people who are bought into Deshaun Watson. You can tell from his ADP as the second quarterback off the board. And
Oh man, can I just interrupt you real quick?
yeah,
I'm pretty sure I heard a great word come out of your mouth on accident. Referring to Deshaun Watson's 80 peak, which is perfect.
he has his
He's at his 80 peak right now. But anyways, continue. I love
You're
it.
welcome for birthing that one. Trademark, FF Hitman, 80 peak. But just so 6th round is I think that's fine because that's about where you're starting to take some shots.
Yeah, I don't have a problem
but
with
those guys behind him.
Look at the difference here.
Yeah.
Tarik Cohen, I don't. Oh man, I already messed up.
Yes.
Oh, they're happy.
When the judge rules, the judge rules.
All right. Well, people, go to Twitter, vindicate me. I don't think it's gonna happen.
N64 box covers of Tarik showing
yeah,
up.
N64 was great.
It was pretty amazing.
But what is the percentage chance that he could finish as an RB1 versus Will Fuller having the opportunity to finish as an RB1 or as a wide receiver 1? I think that the ceiling is much higher on Fuller.
Yes, I completely
And
agree.
so if you want to take that shot, even though that's higher than I would want to draft him, because I'm probably still looking volume if we're in the 6th, 7th round and less touchdown upside guys, but I don't have a problem doing that at all. I mean, if he comes back to form with Watson, then you've got a real 17 yards a catch, often touchdown scoring freak out there.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about another wide receiver, Jamison Crowder. I don't think people know how to think about him. PPR league, where do you think Jamison Crowder is currently going in drafts?
I think that people are recovering from Crowder not really coming through this past season, but in a PPR, you still have to be interested. I'm going to slot him behind Will Fuller based off of his 6th round draft price, which is bananas, but not too far. I'm going to go 7-11. Just going to go, thank heaven.
That's a
7-11.
really good spot because I wasn't sure. I was going to put him right around there. I'm going to take the under. I'll go 7-12.
He's going at 906 right now in PPR.
Yeah, I win.
So would you rather have Jamison Crowder at 906 or Will Fuller at, back of the 6th?
It's probably going to be Crowder because in the 6th, you mentioned some running backs when we were talking about Tarik Cohen who weren't Tarik Cohen that I would like to have. So I would pair Crowder with one of those running backs rather than the running backs going in the 9th with Will Fuller. I would say it's a roster construction thing as do you want a volume guy versus a high upside guy? But in general, I'm going to take those 3-round differences is a pretty big gap.
All right, I'm going to read you some names around Jamison Crowder. Yeah.
It's pronounced Crowder.
Devontae Parker or Jamison Crowder?
Crowder.
Crowder.
Marquise Goodwin or Jamison Crowder?
Ooh.
Crowder.
Crowder.
I think I'm going to take Goodwin.
That's close. It's definitely close.
Randall Cobb.
Oh, there's my boy.
Yeah, I would take the upside of
Eat
Cobb.
me some Cobb salad.
Cooper Cup.
Cup.
Cup and Cobb, by the way. The old Cup and Cobb.
You put the Cobb
combo?
salad in a cup. Take it
Cup
with you on the
and
go.
Cobb are back-to-back. Benjamin or Crowder?
Benjamin.
Oh, yeah.
I would probably take the Benjamin there.
I feel like we all want
all
to disparage Kelvin Benjamin because he's been such a lumbering, injured
he's like an
guy.
int.
But the reality
He's like
is,
one of the ints from
Yeah.
Is that Lord of the Rings?
from Lord of the
Oh,
Rings.
Yeah, because he's a big lumbering, but
Tree.
But the reality is,
Tree man.
He's got big branches.
He's the only guy there. I mean, we talk about Charles
Yeah.
Clay being necessary,
Yeah.
and Charles Clay, I mean, he makes Kelvin Benjamin look like Tyreek Hill.
All right. Quarterback. Kirk Cousins.
Ooh,
PPR ADP for Kirk Cousins.
I'm gonna go 701.
I'm going to go higher than that. I'm going to go 603.
804.
What?
804.
I thought there was a block of quarterbacks going right in that 6th round. Maybe I guess I'm thinking of standard, and they just get pushed down.
The
Yeah, but
quarterback's
what-
ahead of him?
Yeah, he's got to be like quarterback 5 or 6 off the draft board, though, right?
Let me take a quick look at that. He's going right after some of the bigger names that you would expect. Cousins is currently the 8th quarterback off the board.
Wow,
Pretty
really?
big gap between Breeze right now. Newton and Breeze are both 7th-round picks. Cousins and Garoppolo are 8th-round picks, and I would take Cousins by a country mile over Jimmy Garoppolo.
Cousins is probably, based on that ADP, would be the first quarterback I would be looking at. Anything higher than the 8th round, I'm not really looking. And to me, Cousins is still a tier above some of those other late-round guys that I like. I like Stafford. I like Rivers. I can get them a couple rounds later, but I see Stafford still cut above that, so I might consider it.
Right now, Cousins goes, and then Garoppolo, and then a round later, Goff, and behind him, Stafford.
Beware of the G-men in Jimmy Garoppolo and Jared Goff.
Jordan Reed. We'll wrap it up with Jordan Reed. We'll get into some mailbag. Jordan Reed, where do you think his average draft position is? Because does it change because of OTAs and training camp, and if he looks healthy?
Yeah, it'll definitely change. The problem is I'm not sure that he is fully healthy yet. So I'm going to guess that he is in that 7th round, but I went first last time.
I think he's actually behind that. I'm going to go 804.
712.
809.
Okay, that's
He's
close.
going
better, closer.
He's going in a range,
Warmer.
though, very interestingly, where no tight ends go. Right now, Trey Burton goes 7-10, okay?
Wow, Trey Burton's going ahead of Jordan Reed now.
Yeah, Trey Burton is now ahead of Jordan
should be.
Reed.
Yeah,
at
definitely should be.
7-10, and then Jordan Reed's at 809, and you don't get another tight end off the board until 1009.
Where is
2 rounds later, George Kittle, Tyler Eifert.
Oh, man, so that means that
Would you rather have
Rudolph is
Eifert in
going
the
ahead of-
11th round, where he's currently going, or Jordan Reed
In a PPR?
in the 8th?
I'll take the upside of Jordan Reed.
I think
in
I
the
would,
8th.
too.
I would as well. Where was Rudolph going then? Ahead of Trey Boo-Boo, I assume.
Kyle Rudolph is going at 703. Delaney Walker 705.
So-
Trey Burton 710.
Okay, so Mr. Kyle Rudolph, man crush over here. PPR, it's the 7th round. You're taking a tight end. Are you taking Rudolph over Trey Burton?
I am taking Rudolph over Trey Burton. I like Trey Burton a lot, but that's yet to be seen. Never shown it in as far as being the primary weapon, and we haven't seen the new Bears offense. I project him high. I like him, but I'm going to take Burton in hand.
Burton in hand.
That's what I heard too.
All right,
Bird.
let's get into the mailbag.
Mailbag.
It's called doubling, Mike.
Yeah, but you got to
It's called
get
doubling.
Stronger, thicker, better.
You got to get in pitch then. When you double it, you do the exact same
Are you
thing.
trying to contend that you were in pitch for the opening of the show? Because it
With
sounded
you?
like you were like you had popped out of a garbage can screaming.
Well, here's the thing: is
I live in a garbage can.
no, I'm over here like an angelic choir,
Right?
just streaming forth the
We'll see if
lovely
the-
docile tones of the mailbag, and you open it up with an atonal scream, and I was joining in to make it girthy.
Okay. We'll see what Twitter thinks. They'll always take your side anyway. All right.
I love you,
If
Twitter.
you have unverified love. If you have a question for the show, go to thefantasyfootballers.com, click the submit a question button, or better yet, dial our voicemail hotline 302-464-TFFB. We're going to hit the voicemail first.
Hello, ballers. This is Ken from Pittsburgh. Hey, got a quick question for you. Finally got enough guys to commit to do a dynasty league, and I'm super excited to do my first one. When should I do my first draft? When should I try to get everybody committed? We got high interest right now since everybody just committed. Should I do it now, or should we wait till closer to the season so people don't get messed up with injuries? Love to hear what you guys think. Love the podcast. Hope to hear from you soon. Thanks.
What do you guys think?
I would highly recommend for a dynasty startup. So like one of the great things about dynasty is you could play more in the off season, right? But when it comes to the startup draft, the first initial startup draft, that's going to impact the next decade of your league. And so it's really hard for me to recommend to get, like, if everyone's in agreement and they understand the risk, do it early. But my recommendation would probably be after week 3 of preseason, same as we do with redraft, because it just, the stakes are so much higher for if some guy has a catastrophic injury early in the season and before you ever had him in a dynasty startup draft where you're going to have this roster forever, I would prefer it to be later.
I'm fine with that. And a reminder, we kind of talked about dynasty startups. If you look up episode 525, is back at February 22nd. We kind of elaborated on it at length.
By the way, if you want to get in a league with some other Foot Clan listeners, you can check out jointhefoot.com, our community. We give you access to Foot Clan leagues. You can join dynasty leagues, startup leagues, local leagues, online leagues, all that stuff. We know finding good people is tough, which this listener kind of insinuated here. It's been tough to get everybody on board and interested. Yeah. Glad you got it done, but if you need people, check that out. All right, Thomas in Germany.
Oh, bonjour.
Bonjour.
I'm in a 12-team league, and I'm allowed to choose as the second in the league from which spot I want to draft. What do you think? Where would you want to draft this year? These questions are now on our doorstep.
I think I want to draft 4.
Do you? You'd rather pass on Bell or Gurley?
Yeah.
For just a slightly improved second-round pick?
I would, because to me, Bell,
Johnson,
Gurley,
and Zeke
and Johnson are close enough. I do have them kind of, maybe not in the same exact tier, but they're close enough where that second round you watch depending on who goes, and it's like, there's that one player you're hoping makes back to you, and every one of those spots matters. So that's my current
I would
favorite.
go 5.
I'm also
I would take
5.
I would take the 5th pick.
But the 5th pick is Antonio Brown almost always, and I'm fine with that.
No, that's
Antonio.
not what it would be for me. I would go 5th pick Alvin Kamara. If the first 4 went, I'd be at 5 because I think in a lot of drafts the first 4 aren't going to go chalk. Antonio Brown will sneak in there, and I'll get one of those top 4 anyway at 5. So I would take 5.
Oh man!
Or you just want to be at the top, Mike?
I'm not opposed to going 4, but being able to have Le'Veon Bell is such an advantage, and I'll put Todd Gurley in there, even though Gurley could have some regression. We know that Le'Veon Bell.
Gurley is usually
locked in.
ADP. Gurley's the number 1. So by what you're saying, it sounds like you would take the number 2 spot. Hope that you get Lev Bell there. Fine with Gurley.
Yeah.
But essentially what we are saying is that the advantage, so long as health comes, there's always busts in the first round, but the advantage of having one of those absolute elite stud players that are only found in the first few picks is worth picking that spot. Somewhere in there.
All right, this question comes in from Dakota in Missouri.
That's confusing.
What?
You should hear the question from Missouri in
Dakota? Uh-oh.
That's next.
I pre-ordered my UDK, and I love it.
Oh, thank
Awesome.
you, Dakota.
In a PPR Dynasty League, would you rather have Carson Wentz and David Njoku or Aaron Rodgers and Kyle Rudolph? Now, mind you, PPR Dynasty League.
Oof.
So Wentz,
Wow.
Njoku, or Rodgers and Rudolph?
Well, I can tell you.
I will take Rodgers and Rudolph.
I can tell you I have Rodgers and Rudolph in our Dynasty League, and if someone offered me Wentz and Njoku, I would not accept the deal.
Who won that league last year?
I
don't really.
not recall.
Do you remember?
I don't remember. No.
Brooks, do you remember who won that league? The Dynasty League?
No, shut your mouth,
Yeah,
Brooks.
sorry, guys.
Play along.
It stung.
Yeah.
Andy got.
Oh,
Andy got us.
it was me.
I'm going to take the Rodgers side.
Andy actually went on. Oh wait, no, you didn't go undefeated, did you?
I
Thanks, Brooks.
lost one game. I lost one game. It's pretty rare to go undefeated. I wanted to stay humble. All right, Mike in Cambridge, England.
Failed.
Bonjour.
Oh, bonjour.
Yeah, failed. I have the second pick in the first round after a dismal season last year.
Yeah.
I know the consensus is Bell Gurley, maybe a B, but would I be completely insane drafting Saquon with the number 2 pick, as there is no way he will make it back to me in the second round? Well, yes, you are right. There is no way that will happen. Love the work. I have faith in the UDK and that it will bring me back to the playoffs this year.
I want to say no. I want to say you're not insane at all, but I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say you're insane for that, and here's why.
I believe he said, I'm going to say no, but I'm going to say yes.
No, he said I want to say no.
Oh, okay.
But I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes because you finished number 2.
I want to say no, but
you finished with the second pick, and you had a poor season, and I think you just don't want to get too cute with it. Maybe that's what happened last year. You're right. Barkley's almost guaranteed to not make it back to you. And we always recommend, look, if you want to take your guy, take your guy. If he can't make it back to you,
just don't take that guy at that spot.
Then
take other guys.
No, and it's just the first round, maybe the first 2 rounds are the only places where.
What if he's a
reaching
Giants fan?
On a play.
Yes, I disagree. That we know that guys are going to bust. We'll have the shows coming up soon where we take a look, and you look at that first round and you go, "There's just no way that any of these guys will bust." And then fast forward a year, and we'll look back, and 50% of them will have busted.
So you think take him?
I'm fine taking Saquon Barkley because you know the volume will be there. You don't take a guy second overall who has serious chops in the passing game to not just feed him until he vomits everywhere on a weekly basis. So I am okay going with Barkley because the volume is safe.
Ryan in Buffalo says, how comfortable would you be with Jerick McKinnon, or as he writes, Jericho McKinnon, as your first back?
The wall's coming down.
If you went wide receiver with your first 2 picks, I would be fine with it.
I'd be 100% fine with Jerick McKinnon as
a standard. It's a standard.
I'm fine with it.
Even still. I mean, if you end up going wide receiver, usually if I've done that, it's only because you were able to do that, like Julio and Odell Beckham double up because everyone went running back, wide receivers fell, and that's why I went wide receiver. If I've got those 2 guys or something like it, and I can have Jerick McKinnon as my number 1, I'm cool with that.
Agreed.
Shouldn't it be called half PPR, says Kyle in Philadelphia? As we know, PPR stands for points per reception. So whenever I hear somebody refer to half-point PPR, what they're really saying is half-point per reception leagues.
Yep, full-point PPR.
As the FF Ballers preferred scoring system, can you enact the universal change that these leagues will henceforth be known as half PPR, or better yet, HPPR? Thank you. Love the show.
I love your astute observations, but instead we're going to enact a little bit of grace, a little bit of grace, because we all talk about different things. You know, I'll meet listeners, and they've so frequently word things that I haven't heard when they talk the numbers. You know, they're like, I think this guy is going to be WR12, and I've never, it's like, the wide receiver 12 or something, and it's like, yeah, I can have grace for that. That's cool. I know what you're saying.
When I talk about PPR leagues or half-point leagues, I try to say when I say it the full way, I try to say half point per reception or point per reception as opposed to the way that you said it. But it does happen, and it's just kind of what people are used to.
Well, it's blame it on the PPR people. I mean,
totally.
Take your beef with them because they're the ones who should have said full PPR, but instead they got us saying nonsense like full point PPR.
Brooks.
It's not
Was it Brooks?
Not my fault.
Brooks is a full PPR guy. So
has that not changed?
It has not changed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean Brooks is a full point PPR guy.
All right, Justin in Paradise, Nevada.
Oh.
Consensus rankings hide bold opinions that have a higher risk.
Wait, hold on.
That's a really good point, Mike. In Cambridge.
I thought it was Paradise.
Yeah, I'm going to go to a different question there because I don't understand that one whatsoever. Daniel in Charleston, South Carolina. Any suggestions on software you use when you first created a show for your league? Anything that we can use as a soundboard app that we can manipulate. So they remember that when we started, and for those of you out there who maybe are new listeners,
This is a tech question.
this is an old school question too, because when we started this podcast, Mike and I actually began as a podcast for our league only for 12 people. And we used to just once a week go into his office and record a show during lunch and make fun of and mock everybody in our league.
It was a great show.
And that's how we got our podcasting chops.
What's the name of the soundboard app?
It is called Soundboard.
There you go. Well, we used to use a sound bite.
Yeah, there's a sound bite.
We've used quite a few in our time.
The least expensive fun one to use would be like Soundboard on your OS devices.
Yes, and as far as recording software,
Audacity's free, right?
Audacity is free. You can check that one out. We use Logic, but they all do the same things nowadays. It's whatever you're comfortable using. And Audacity at the price point of free may be what you are most comfortable using.
You know, Brooks had the audacity to put in that question despite the fact that it was unreadable. Can you believe that?
Full point PPR.
Oh, what a buffoon.
We love you, Brooks.
I got rid of the extra wording in there.
Oh, is it readable now?
I think so.
Let's go back.
I really hope it's not. Justin in
double up.
Paradise. Consensus rankings hide bold opinions that have a higher risk but also a higher reward as they are averaged.
Okay.
Could it be better to follow one of your individual rankings instead?
Yeah, follow mine.
And then
Yeah.
ask whose rankings would be best.
You should use my rankings.
Yeah.
I guess use whoever was more accurate on the season, according to the Fantasy Pros expert rankings on the season.
Are we
whoever that
talking
was.
historically, like over the last few years?
No,
'Cause then
just
it's
last
me.
year. Just last year.
Okay.
Why you got to be a butt snack?
Here's whose rankings you
Butt
should actually
snack?
go with. Your own.
Yeah.
This is why I think consensus is actually the best to go with. Is we do have kind of differing opinions on certain guys, but it actually makes for really good rankings to use where you are using your own, not just our numbers, because we lay it out.
We're just
we
different
tier-base-
cannonballs. You fire the cannon.
Yeah, we tier base things out in the Ultimate Draft Kit. We have write-ups on every player, videos on everybody, so you can get the info. But at the end of the day, you're the one that is making the call, and you can make calls better than we can.
We're just different grades of gasoline. You drive the car.
Right, exactly. How many more are you guys?
Also, I'm premium.
Honest. Well, my
super
car.
unleaded though.
Yeah, my car. It specifically says do not use premium.
Yeah.
I'm serious. What
kind of car you want to drive?
What I was going to say is back many moons ago when I didn't make my own full rankings and I had the people who I trusted, I would go through their list. I would make my own tiers and I would completely eliminate guys. Just say I'm not drafting this player. So Jason is right, dude. We've laid the foundation for you. Get in there and and you got to move.
Do
some
the
things
dirty
around.
work.
Well, it's not the dirty work.
It's the fun work.
Do the clean work.
Yeah, he's doing feng shui, arranging things in the room. It's all there though. The couch is there.
That's what this show's all about, though.
A chair.
I know we don't muse on that enough, but we made this show so that we could be, the other three guys at the table with you, sharing our opinions.
We're the equipment manager. You're the ball player. We're just going to give
get
you
out
the
there
tools.
and knock it out of the park.
All right.
That is it for today's episode of the
Oh,
show.
I regret
We've got
nothing.
early sleepers, breakouts, busts, and value shows coming up very soon. Check out draft.com/ballers for some best ball action.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.